All right, good evening, everybody. Today is Tuesday, December 13th. It's the monthly meeting of the Millis Planning Board. If everyone could stand up and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, before we get started, we want to thank Zach Golden for his years of service at the Millis Cable Network. He comes here and helps to set up and has been key to making sure that we're on TV so you guys can watch us as you're falling asleep at night. But anyhow, he is now going to have a full IT position somewhere, which we'll let you
It's
just...
at Easton Middle School,
Okay, great.
and actually started yesterday. Today was my second day with them.
Cool.
Congratulations.
Fixing Chromebooks.
Okay, well, that's
Fixing
good.
student Chromebooks for them.
Welcome to the working world. So
Thank
you've
you.
got another, let's see, 30, 40 years and you can retire. So great. No, we wanted to thank you very much for all your help during all the years and wish you luck
Yeah,
in your
absolutely.
future adventure.
Thank you.
All right, good. Thanks again.
Congratulations. Good luck.
All right, and let's see, our first item on the agenda is a special permit with site plan approval, public hearing for Dish Network, Dish Wireless, Crown Castle, 1073 Main Street. Yep. Oh, sorry, we're gonna do this one via Zoom because by phone, because the applicant had been exposed to COVID and didn't want to have to come here to, chance risking and getting it to us.
Town of Millis Office of the Planning Board, notice of public hearing. In accordance with the provisions of Chapter 40A, Section 11, Mass General Law, the Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, December 13th, 2022, at 7:30 p.m. in the Veterans Memorial Building, Room 229, 900 Main Street, Millis, on the application of Katie Adams, Crown Castle Dish Wireless, 9601 South Meridian Boulevard, Inglewood, Colorado, requesting a special permit for site plan approval under Section 13C and N of the zoning bylaws of the town of Millis for Dish Wireless co-location at existing personal wireless communications facility located at 773 Main Street, map 22, parcel 10, Millis, Mass. A copy of the application and site plan is on file with the Office of the Town Clerk and on the Planning Board's webpage. Any person interested or wishing to be heard on the application should appear at the time and place designated. Richard Nichols, Chair.
Hi, Katie, this is Camille. I have you on speakerphone, and we just opened the public hearing for the application.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for dialing me in.
Okay, hold on just a sec, and
We're gonna put you in front of me and you could be, hopefully, I don't know if people can hear you on the phone, but we're gonna give it a shot.
Okay, I appreciate you guys being flexible.
Yep, well, we want to make sure no one catches the COVID, so.
Yeah, I know.
All right, so, the, application is basically for, adding some new, parts to the wireless communication tower that's already in place. We have the review from Beta, and so basically they went through that, and they had a couple of points that they wanted to, we wanted to review, which you had actually commented on that. The first one would be the existing wooded buffer along the cemetery property line be protected and maintained during and after construction. And then on that, we had confirmed with the board that the existing screening is sufficient. So previously, we had a growing facility that went in the same area, right next door to where the tower is. One of the requests that we made of them was to add screening to the cemetery to block the building.
Yeah.
So we were thinking we would like to actually ask you to, like we do with the tree fund, make a contribution to the screening fund for the cemetery to provide the ability for the cemetery committee to buy some trees and some fencing to block off the view of your tower.
Okay.
So what we'd like to do is, and I'm gonna run that by the board, maybe we could have you guys plant you know, 6 trees and put in 3 sections of fence or something like that, as part of the condition for the new tower.
Okay,
So I'll bring that up to the board. That was brought up by the cemetery committee, because right now what happened is the growing facility put up like 150 feet of fence to block
Yeah.
off their building. Sorry, I'm talking to the rest of the board right now, so sorry about that.
oh, no, that's okay.
So the comment was, we can still see the tower. The screening would be up at the cemetery level. We would ask them to say, hey, because your tower's there, as part of the condition, we'd like to ask you guys to donate a couple of trees and some fencing. It would be a one-time, that's what we do with the grow facility. So I wanted to see,
That was the picture that Beta put in,
Sorry.
if you want to pass that.
yeah, and here's the picture of that, so I didn't know what the board thought of that.
So that's where they
That's,
would ask to,
yes,
yeah, clean that on along.
Yeah, that's, sure.
all right, so, I mean, what does the board think on that? Should we have them, you know, should do an amount, a number of trees? You know, we could do just an amount to be used specifically for, you know, screening by the cemetery? Yeah,
Yes.
okay,
That's probably a better
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
okay,
I would leave it up to the cemetery's discretion.
Okay, that's
As
fine.
to-
Over there.
Yeah, if they want full trees, if they want evergreens
Right.
planted for,
do we wanna do an amount, like, anyone have any thoughts? I mean, we wanna buy a couple trees, you know,
what would that be?
$2,500 or something like that. I think they do like $750 a tree is what they allow. So if we had, you know, say we did 3 trees and some fence.
I think 2,500.
Yeah, okay, so what we're gonna do is ask for screening of the cemetery. And this would be a donation, which the trees and the fencing would go on town property, so it'd be a one-time donation for you. You wouldn't have to maintain it. To help screen the tower.
Okay,
All right, so that would be one
And that-
thing on that.
Donation will be flagged for the cemetery?
Correct, that would be from the applicant for the cemetery to screen the cell tower. And then, you know, maybe next time they come up for an application, or if there's another group of antennae on that, we would do the same thing, and eventually we'll have it screened off so that you wouldn't be able to see the cell towers, so.
and that donation, the check would be payable to the town, correct?
Correct, it would be the town of Millis, but we'd make it specifically for the cemetery's screening. We would do it that way, the check would be used for what it was intended.
Okay, that's great, thank you.
Okay,
And what was the amount, did you decide?
25.
2,500. Let's see, the other thing on here is they had new ground-based equipment being installed. Will it change the existing maintenance schedule? If so, provided an update maintenance plan and schedule. So is there any maintenance that you'd have to do on that equipment?
No, it's not gonna change the schedule at all.
Okay. All right, and I think there was one other thing.
Yeah, she's rested on this one.
Oh, sorry.
Her email.
Okay. Oh, and Dish Wireless, okay, so, basically, if for some reason you guys decided you didn't wanna use the, antenna, you would be responsible for removing the equipment. And, you replied in there that you would be responsible for removal of any equipment if you decided not to use the towers anymore.
That's correct.
Okay, all right, great. All right, so other
Just
than.
add that to the,
Yeah, well, we'll add that to the thing.
To the approval.
So Melissa did not write a decision for us, but I think we could approve it with these 2
Well,
notes.
What you could do, what I would recommend is you close the public
Yeah,
hearing,
yeah.
and then deliberate and vote at the January meeting.
Okay, that's fine.
Is there anybody that wants to address this?
Oh, yeah. Is there anyone in the audience that wants to say anything? Go ahead, Scott.
Thank you. Scott Fusey, 411 Union. Just to agree with the buffer between the cemetery and the cell tower. I think it will be great over time. That will fill in. It seems like it's awful open. You can always see the cell tower even in the summer. So I think having the trees and the buffer will be a good buffer between, so it will look a little better, so, thank you.
All right, great.
Thanks, Scott.
All right, well, if there's no other comment, I vote that we make a motion that we close the public hearing.
Second.
All right, the motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, and it passed unanimously. So what we're gonna do on this is I make a motion that we will close, we will,
You don't have to make a motion
right,
to deliberate and vote, you can just do that.
yeah, we can,
Is that okay with you, Katie?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
The public hearing is going to be closed, and then on the agenda for the January 10th meeting, they will deliberate and vote on the application and prepare the decision. Is that okay?
Yeah, and I think Crown is going to be asking to have something in writing this month. I'm not sure if that's even possible.
well, we could get a draft decision out, but it wouldn't be finalized. So we could, our consulting engineer could write a decision. We could get that to you, but we would still have to vote on it in January.
Okay.
Is that gonna work or not?
That will work.
Okay, yeah, so I mean, basically, she'll write it up, we'll vote on it next meeting, which will include those couple of items that we had, and that should take care of it.
Okay, great.
All right, so we're going to continue this public hearing until,
Nope, it's closed. You're all
No.
done until
Oh, sorry.
the January meeting.
all right, so we're gonna continue this to the January meeting, so. All right, good, well, I think we're all set with
Yeah,
you.
and Katie, I can email you tomorrow and just sum everything up.
That would be awesome. Thank you so much.
Very good. Okay, thank you so much.
All right, have a great night, everyone.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. All right, next item on the agenda would be Emerson Place definitive subdivision discussion, request for addition of third model home.
Good evening. We have been delayed. We've had extensive delays in reaching the point now.
Could you identify yourself, just so?
Oh, I'm sorry,
the
Robert
audience knows
Fox.
who you are.
I'm the manager, Emerson Place Development LLC. When we started off, before we could cut the trees, even from the first day, we got a notice from the Army Corps of Engineers that we had to do a bat study, a long-eared bat study, which required us to put radar towers over the property, and they monitored for sounds, sonic sounds of bats for a month and a half, 2 months, whatever, and I know it's your neighborhood, you're lucky you have no long-eared bats.
Okay, it's good.
And the problem was you can't cut trees during a particular period of time because that's their mating season. So that was like a 4-month delay. We started our site work, and then we found that because of COVID, supply chain problems, there's a 1-year delay in the ductile iron pipe, the water pipe, that is specified for the town of Millis. We did try to get plastic pipe, PVC pipe, and I think you're trying to change that. Are you gonna
No,
try
Yeah,
to?
that's something that's the DPW, so, I mean,
Okay,
that
yeah.
might be something that, the town may talk about, but that isn't, right now, that's out of our purview, that's DPW.
All right, so whatever. So we had to wait for the ductile iron, and it came in May. It was like 9 months. And we've continued to work the project. The last delay has been the retaining walls on either side, either entrance, and the culverts. And one of the things that Beta required was they meet state highway specifications, which we had to hire a structural engineer, and they went back and forth for 7 months on the design. We finally, and the manufacturers, the retaining wall companies and the culvert companies are also supply chain delayed. So by the time it all we finally got the final plans about 2 months ago, Dan will tell you, and it's on order. We have paved we have paved the roads, all except for where the retaining walls are, the entrances on both sides. And we've started a couple of models. We hope to have the walls and the culverts done by February, March, at which time we'll be in for the tripartite. We can't, it'd be crazy to do the tripartite now because Beta would put such an extreme percentage on, on the amount, it would be, we would not be able to get our bank to finance it. So what we'd like to do is have the opportunity coming into the spring market to have another house ready, a model. So this board has approved 2 previous models for us, and we've talked to the building inspector. He doesn't have a problem with it. We now have utilities there. Our sewer and water is in. We're just waiting, we'll be waiting for the Eversource, and that's another problem. As you know, transformers, you can't find transformers. In Florida, developers have to wait 18 months for transformers. We think because we've been in the queue for a long time, we could probably get 1 or 2 transformers right away, which can service 8 or 9 houses. So we just like, as much as we can, we're trying to get ahead of the ball and at least have something to sell in the spring,
So
yeah.
on these, you're gonna, so just so I understand, you're gonna build another model house, and what, is that gonna stay there till the bitter end and you people will walk through it, or is that going to be, as soon as you can sell them, you're gonna sell them?
It depends, yeah. I mean, we'd like to keep, we'll see what happens with the market when people start walking through, but if somebody wants that house, obviously, we would sell it.
So technically, we would, right now, where we would be allowing you to build a house ahead of time. And what normally would you have to do on that if through the normal development process? Would you be able to, are you ready right now to start building houses if we didn't let you build a model? Just to ask the question.
Say again, I don't understand.
If, like, let's say you didn't come and ask for a model house.
Yeah.
Right now, if you wanted to start building houses, could you do so?
No,
Okay,
no, because we don't, the covenant is on the property.
right,
It's not a separate lot.
okay.
Yeah.
I need to ask the question,
Yeah.
Dan, you know why I'm asking
He
it.
could if he posted a bond.
Okay, right,
So, the reality is he can't get an occupancy permit
right,
or sell a house until the covenant goes away and he actually posts a bond.
right, so,
So he could build houses now if he posted a bond and got rid of the covenant.
right, that's what I was asking. Yeah, so that way we have, there's protection that, we would be, the town would be at risk, or we'd end up with houses and things. That's why I was asking that question. So I personally don't have an issue. What's the board have? Go ahead,
I
Alan.
have a question. Is the design of this model house any different from the other model homes you're building?
Yes,
So it would actually provide a choice for a consumer looking at
correct.
your homes?
That's correct.
Yeah. Anyone else? Yeah, I mean, we can, what I would say is, we could say that, the planning board has no issue with you building a house, model house. That's fine. Same, whatever the same, if we put any restrictions on the other ones. I don't even know if we did. I think we
So
just.
it's just
Yeah.
occupancy
Yeah.
permit.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right,
Makes
so,
sense.
yeah, so we could, I can put my glasses on. Actually, Nicole, do you have the glasses? No.
And Robert, you said that you already spoke to the building inspector?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so I would say that as long as it matches what we had done in the previous, the previous decision, which stated that the covenant restricts getting a building permit until the roads are constructed. The applicant would like to construct 2 model homes that would not be for sale at this time. The provision is that an occupancy permit cannot be issued for these homes until the covenant is released, which will remain, which is what Dan just said. So so I make a motion that we allow the additional model home to be built with the same terms. I made a motion.
Second.
All right. All right, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, actually, Dan, while you're here, I wanted to bring up on the retention basin, since I got you here.
Yep.
Can we get a timeline on that?
Well, by January 1st.
You'll have
I'll
that
make a
complete?
submission, and then that'll be ready for your meeting. That way
Okay.
Melissa will have time for your meeting on the 10th.
Okay, I just want to wrap that up.
Yep.
That would be great.
Yep.
All right, good, thanks, appreciate it. All right, thank you.
You want to do the endorsement while Bob's here? I think that's the last thing.
Oh, yeah, we have
Okay,
to,
you can
well,
skip to that,
yeah,
that's fine, because it's not a
sure.
public hearing, it's just a
Yeah.
discussion, so you can,
yeah, okay, well, so we'll take a break. We have to re-sign there was a.
So this was, you guys approved the minor modification of the Emerson Place subdivision. We needed to record the plans because a drainage easement was added. So you guys re-endorsed these in May of 2021. They got lost. So there's a time limit with the registry to record subdivision plans, so we just need you to re-endorse those same plans. So they're the May 2021 plans. The Mylars are over there. We just need you to re-sign them so that Bob can record them.
And we did look that up to make sure it was all the same. That's right. All right, so we'll take a break and we'll sign those now. All right.
would someone just find the date on the endorsement line?
Yep, I'll do it.
Hello.
Somebody was good, right? Not me.
I'm coming. Bring it up the rear.
Oh.
It is the 13th.
So they said if you have an issue, call. That's the shots. Okay, great, so I called. Okay, great, when did you have it done? Oh, you gotta come back in, you gotta come back in for a consult. I said, excuse me?
Money.
I have to come in,
How's it going?
so the doctor can tell me that I need to have shots, that he told me I needed to have shots.
Yeah, right.
I said, is that what it
Yeah,
is?
right.
Come in early, get you.
Yeah,
No, it's
right.
not that.
That's right, I always
3
forget. I
months.
always get
So
out
the
there for lunch
insurance is required
during
that I go
Thanksgiving
get
and Christmas. There's people
I said, you know
everywhere.
what? How about-
Can't even park.
Where you making money?
And so I'm gonna walk around.
And
and I don't-
last spring or summer, I thought I might need another one. And it's Ellen had it for years now.
I did, I had a meeting one night. I had actually 2 meetings that night.
By the time I went up to the appointment, I wasn't feeling so bad. Sat down and chatted with the doctor for a little bit, didn't get a shot, I think it was right.
I gotta take 4 hours off to go in, to have him tell me that I need the shots, that he told me I needed the shots. And I told him, Yep. Yeah, I mean, the front of my leg is like, you know. It's like, it's like, I got ice on it.
Alan's got a place up there. You should
Well, it's
go up and buy some stuff.
It's all signed by our CEO.
They have that sod you can put on.
Yeah.
I don't know if it works.
It's on First American paper.
Now, they gave me, you know, some sort of something that was gonna, you know, that took up months, and it made me feel dizzy. I'd rather be paying this.
How's your new position?
It'll, the registry won't.
Well, we haven't done anything, so it's easy.
Well, we got the school.
Yeah.
You guys think this is taking long now? You should have seen the last name.
It was definitely entertaining.
Yes, it was.
It was definitely entertaining. Holy crap. Didn't you get your money's worth out of this guy? I don't think I've signed this much since I did a mortgage. Oh, yeah, you did. A lot more than this.
You charge him extra for this, I hope.
Yeah, it has a trial and desperately.
What time did they give you to file this?
6 months for a subdivision plan.
Is the registry open? Can you walk in the door and?
Yeah, yeah.
It was in the back of the trunk of Dan's car, and it got left open, and it got rained on.
It
That's
was in
what
the
happened.
lawyer's office. Not in my office.
Is that the one in Dedham?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, he's on the cable channel all the time.
Nobody goes to the registry anymore. Used to go into the registry, there are people everywhere, doing research, books everywhere. Nobody's in the registry.
Dungeon downstairs.
In the dungeon, yeah,
Oh,
nobody's
plus,
there.
parking's hard, right there, it's a Dedham court, I mean, good court.
Dan, why is that? Is everything available electronically?
Hey,
Yeah.
Camille, do you have another marker, by chance? It's different. This one is like dead. Do we have to use marker?
Yeah, you can't use ballpoint.
Can you get everything
Pretty much.
Yeah, I still not so many clothes.
I personally, I still prefer doing title exams in person. I'm sure if I had learned 30 years ago to do them online, I'd be more comfortable doing them online, but I'm the idiot that still likes
Yes,
to.
and as a title agent, you have to sign off on all those policies, right? Yeah, longer.
Yeah, that was,
Yeah, and the new Alta policies too, everything's good. Oh, to be done.
yeah, I don't do it anymore. It's not worth the insurance cost. It's just myself to carry the $2 million policy. And of course, when I first started, it was only $1 million.
Yeah,
But now they've doubled it.
wow.
Well, last time I checked, it was up to 2. I'm like, no. Nope.
Okey-dokey. No, I went to the registry because the town came out and said that Grove Street was not approved street in Millis. So I went to the registry, I looked it up, it was actually, the land was taken back in like 1800 or something early by the town. So the guys over the registry said that technically, because the town took it, then it was a town road. So I had to get that printed and send it to Charlie Espinal.
Thank you. All right, and then Dan is up for the next item also.
Okey dokey. All right, next item on the agenda would be Woodlands Open Space Subdivision Special Permit Extension Request. Yep, so Dan, if you could go ahead. Oh, yeah,
I need to recuse myself as an abutter.
okay,
I would like to speak as a citizen.
sure.
Okay, thank
Yep.
you.
Good evening. So this is the Woodlands Open Space Subdivision. I think you guys remember it off of Cottage Ave. I have copies of the plan if anybody wants it, if anybody needs a refresher. But the permit was valid for 2 years. The permit was issued September 23rd, 2019. There was a COVID tolling period of 1 year, 3 months, and 5 days. So that they basically said, it was similar to what happened in 2010 with the recession. They basically said if you have an active permit during the state of emergency, the deadlines don't toll during the state of emergency. So the state of emergency was 15 months and 5 days. So that brings the extension, the expiration date to December 29th of this year. So the applicant, when the attorneys started getting into the title, they found some issues that they need to get resolved, and that's in court. That's been slower than anticipated because the courts have been impacted by COVID, I think, as you know. So that hopefully is getting resolved in the next couple of months, and then we'll be able to file the subdivision application. But for that reason, we're looking for an extension on the open space permit.
Right. I mean, it seems pretty
Yeah.
straightforward to me, so. Do we have any comments from the audience?
Alan Handel, 11J William Heights. Couple of quick questions. On the approval, on page 10, at the bottom, it says shall lapse within 24 months. However, I believe the town bylaw is permits are good for a year. And on page 5, under paragraph H, special permit granted under the provision of the Millis zoning bylaws shall lapse within 1 year, including such time required, blah, blah, blah. And the finding was the applicant shall adhere to such requirements, and the planning board therefore finds that this requirement has been met. So does it expire after a year or after 2 years?
So the particular use provision specifically says 2 years. I agree with you that the overriding special permit says that in the bylaw, but the special permit use provision for open space special permits specifically says in the bylaw 2 years.
I tried to find that, and I couldn't find
Right.
that
Yeah,
anywhere.
hang on, I got it right here.
Okay, that would be great.
So
Might take me a
are you
minute.
gentlemen saying that our bylaws are messed up?
Imagine that.
Possibly.
I can't imagine that that could be the case.
All right, so it's XVII.
Yeah, 178 in the new
Yeah,
Thank you.
book, if you have that.
yeah.
Oh, I found it. Page 184, sub F. A special permit granted in this bylaw shall lapse within 2 years,
Yep.
excluding such time required to pursue or await the termination of an appeal.
Okay, very good, thank you. On decision number 3, where it says 24 months, it does state that a 1-year extension will be available, not 2 years. It's stated on the document.
That's fine.
It's been
We could
3 years.
Well,
I
ask
mean.
then a 1 year then, that's fine.
Okay.
And finally, relating to that, if the abutters were going to request modification of work hours on the land removal phase of the project, would now be the correct time, or is it during the,
No, I
The
think
next
that would
phase.
be. I
Yeah,
would
we're gonna
think
be
it's gonna
submitting for definitive subdivision approval plus permits from the Board of Health and the Select Board and, yeah, those two boards. So that would all happen for that.
And on that, just so you know, I mean, the construction, because I'm in construction, the hours of operation are, you know, you can request them, but it's a state, I mean, it's a town, you know, we're 7 to 7, I think.
No, 7 to 6.
7 to
6,
6.
yeah.
we'd specifically be looking just during the tree and land removal phase. We can debate it at that time.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
Okay,
no,
thank
fair
you.
enough. All right, so I make a motion that we grant a 1-year extension for the Woodlands Open Space Subdivision Special Permit.
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
All right, great,
Thank you.
thank you.
Don't leave,
thank you.
don't leave.
Okay.
All right, we took care of that. Okay, so we have an update on 40A, 3A zoning, multifamily housing from Nicole. And this is something the state is working towards to develop more affordable housing options.
So, as we've discussed previously, the new multifamily housing will allow for provisions, requirements for 40B. And this board had discussed a few months ago, establishing a bylaw for the town for all subdivisions. For all developments, I should say, not subdivisions. And I had hoped to have more information. I apologize, my mother having been sick for a couple of months, I am behind in getting some of this research. But Mr. American was generous with his time, and he and I sat and discussed a few things. And one of the things we talked about was finding out exactly where we are currently with regards to our affordable housing. The numbers that the state is using is still based upon the 2010 census, which is 3,148. That is our total housing units, which means to meet the criteria would be 10%, or rounding it up, 315 units. We currently have 122, but we also have 177 in the pipeline. So when all of those, because we have, there's a subdivision, development 1344 Main Street, across the street from Tractor Supply, those are ownership. They're gonna be 28 units, 7 of them will be for tenants under 80% of the area median income. Near Bridge Street, those are rentals, those are 48. So even though there are 12 that are going to be affordable, we get credit for all 48 units. The same is true with 114 Union Street, the Herman Shoe development, that's 98 units. And then 24 rentals at 1060 Main Street, which is the old Bada Bing's property, that's 24 units. So that's another 177 units, which will, when all of this is completed, is going to bring us to 299 units. And at the moment, well, based upon the census numbers, we're at 315. Now, we have, as we just discussed, between Emerson Place and Woodlands, I think we've got like another 90-something units. So of course, that's going to increase. And I honestly don't know. They're still basing it off of the 2010 census. So I don't know when they're going to bump to 2020, and so we do have to do something. But considering we are that close, this is something that I would like to see us take a little more, I don't want to get, my personal opinion is that we don't want to get too aggressive on this. One of the things that Dan and I had discussed is that with the affordable housing cannot be subject to a special permit, so it's not going to apply to subdivisions. And actually, there's case law about that, and with your permission, I'd like to send Camille a question forward to town council so we can get that case law. And we probably, we may want to consider one of the things we first need to decide is whether we want to institute a flat percentage for all developments, or,
And this is going forwards for
Yes.
people at home. So the question is if a development goes in some towns, they make a requirement that X amount are affordable as part of
correct.
across the
And a
board.
lot of the towns do actually, the more units you're building, the larger percentage you have. And that was and so that does give, and Dan, you can explain this better than I will explain because I'm going off of what you and I talked about. The smaller the development, the more of an impact those affordable units have on the profit margin.
Right.
So we don't want to institute a bylaw that is actually going to end up creating developers like they did in Sherburne, coming in and taking property and subdividing it, and instead of doing 40 units and getting, whatever percentage, they're doing 10 units here, 10 units here, 10 units here, and now we're not getting any. So while we do want, I think it is beneficial that we continue moving forward on this, we really don't want to develop something that is just going to present developers a way of how do we work around it, and then we get nothing out of it.
It's a complicated topic, and it's something that you need to take time with because there's a lot of different kind of factors at play.
Well, Dan, one question for you. So on the 40B, as a builder, you get to bypass a lot of things that you would have to normally go through. So with the math, you could look at it and say, hey, listen, if I only make 20% of these 10 units, that's 2 units that I have to sell below market rate. That's not that much of a hit.
Well,
So
the rule of thumb is, it costs so much to build an affordable unit, you don't make your money, you don't even get back what it cost you to build it, right? So kind of the round number rule of thumb is for every market rate unit, for every affordable unit, all the profits from one market rate unit are gonna go towards completing that affordable unit. So for every one affordable unit, there's 0 profit for 2 units. So it is, that's 20% of your project, if you have a 10% requirement, right? If you have a requirement that 10% of your project be affordable, 20% of your project is making 0 money for the developer. So, it's important that you have to set a number where this kicks in. You can't really apply it to a 2-unit project or a 4-unit project. It's too punitive. A lot of towns pick a number somewhere between 6 and 10. And then, as Nicole said, as the project density increases, it becomes, economy of scale. It becomes more economical to provide more units. So a lot of towns will say, okay, when you get to this unit count, now it's 15%. And I don't think anybody goes above 20, because you could do 40B at 25, and you don't have to comply with zoning, So you can't get too close to that, because nobody would ever do it. So it's complicated, and, really in my mind, the right way to do it is to encourage the creation of affordable units. A lot of towns have special permit provisions where a developer or an applicant can secure approval for an additional market rate unit to offset the loss that is incurred on the affordable unit. So if you've got a project that under zoning you could do 10 units and you make them do one of those affordable, an applicant could apply for a special permit to add an 11th unit into the project. There's a lot of different ways to go at it. And that's the whole point behind 40B is, there's a real cost associated with providing affordable housing. You literally can't build the units for what you can sell or rent them for. So the whole premise behind 40B is the increased density provides the economic, incentive for developers to build affordable housing, because you need an economic incentive. If it's not financed by the state, if the state isn't spending the money to build these units, or the towns aren't spending the money to build these units, and none of them are, you're relying on developers to do that. So there's it's a give and a take. So there's a lot of different bylaws out there that kind of do a lot of different things, and it's something that I think you'll want to make sure you get a good bylaw in place. And to Nicole's point, if one more project, 40B, comes through that's 15 or 20 units, you guys are over your threshold, and I might have a client for that. And then you can say no to 40Bs. Once you guys get over 10%, you don't have to say no, but the zoning board could decline a 40B. They could deny a 40B. So getting to that 10% number is,
Right,
a
and
great
just
thing.
for the folks at home, sometimes what happens with the 40Bs is there's friendly 40Bs where the developer works with the town to make sure that, whatever the development is, fits the look of the town and has, specific requirements the town usually looks for. A hostile 40B, basically they go in and they say, we're gonna put in whatever we want and we'll go to the state, and if you don't like it, tough beans. So, the goal is you'd like to be to the point where the town could review it and say, yes, we like it, or we could get the builder to, work with the town. They had one that was on Main Street that they went back and forth a couple of times to adjust the design on it, and they finally got it, so it actually looked pretty nice, and then they decided not to build it. But that was gonna be a friendly 40B.
Yeah, that was downtown.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so.
Right, and I think that's the other point, is that our goal is not necessarily to reach a point where we can say, okay, no more affordable housing.
Right.
Our goal is to reach a point where we can say, we want affordable housing that will fit in wherever it's located, that instead of having an out-of-town developer that doesn't really care what happens with Millis and just come in and try to shove something down our throat.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you want to be in control, which makes sense.
Can I ask a
Go ahead.
question? So you said, I forget what number, 3,000 and something is our total housing stock. Just for argument's sake, say that's 3,000. So you're saying if we build 100 affordable units, that 100 counts towards the affordable units, but it doesn't increase that 3,000?
It does
so
increase.
it does, it absolutely does, but where the number
They run off the census.
that runs off the census that's every 10 years.
Right.
And right now, the state is still using the numbers from the 2010 census
We're
for,
building more units, and you're using the example of the units we're going to build as counting towards the housing.
The number's
affordable
gonna,
stock.
the number's gonna have to go up on the
we,
affordable.
exactly.
Yeah.
At some point, the state is going to come in and say, okay, now you still have to be at 10%, but now your total units based on the 2020 census are, 2010 was X, now 2020 20 is Y.
Right, but say we hit
So-
that 2020 number, and then we build one more house. Are we not counting that one more house anymore?
No, we are, it's always revolving. My point is simply, no one, as of right now, we don't know when they're gonna start using the 2020 numbers. So right now, all we have to go on is the 2010. So my point is not, let's sit back and do nothing. My point was simply,
Let's work together.
let's work, let's take the time to do it, right? Because Dan had recommended a couple of bylaws that I look at as examples of insanity. Medway's, I'm probably gonna get yelled at by someone in Medway for having said this. It's a very cumbersome bylaw. And so instead of, the suggestion was, okay, we are always gonna be playing, no matter where you are, unless we have somebody that comes in and wants to build 60, 70 units and they're all rentals and we're gonna be so far ahead, then we can sit back on our laurels. And to that point, as Dan was saying, Walpole did that. They got to a certain point and they said, okay, we met our numbers, and they sat back on their laurels and did nothing. And then all of a sudden, they turned around and went, oh, we are really, and they found out because another developer came in and said, yeah, you don't meet anywhere, so we're putting in another big. So we don't, obviously, this is always gonna be a work in progress, it's always gonna be evolving as the town grows.
The whole
But
process is
just
to put
this-
something in place to get it. We need something in the pipeline.
Right.
Right.
So, but these numbers were just to say, yes, we are only at 3.8%, but with everything that's in the pipeline, we are much closer than we, so, because there's been discussion, from the Economic Development Committee for one, about, we need to take what Medway does, we need to do this, we need to just get this done, and, as Dan said, the more I look into it, the more I'm seeing it really is much more complicated than just coming in and say, okay, 10%. Whatever you build, it's 10%. And as I said, it was several years ago, but Sherburne, somebody went into Sherburne, bought a very large piece of property, and they just split it in half. And they put in what they want, and the town lost a lot of control on that. So we don't want to create a situation where, not that we probably, you never know who's going to sell land and where something's going to go. So,
All right, good. Well, thank you for that. We appreciate it.
thanks for saying.
Thank you, Dan.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate the help. Next on the agenda would be approval of the minutes from November 15th. And you read
I
them?
will be
You read them?
I read them,
and
but
you
I
said
will
they
be-
were perfect because
they
you also
were-
watched cable and
I
you're up on the
did
whole meeting?
not watch, but I will be abstaining from that vote.
All right, I make a motion that we approve the minutes of November 15th as written.
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, great. All right. So let's see, we didn't get a report from the
Economic planner?
Economic Planning
No,
Director,
he was
however-
out with COVID for a while.
Okay, so however, the 1073 growing facility is getting closer to going online. They're trying to get occupancy, so that's gonna be closer to actually going on the books, which is good. And also, Bridge Street, and the name is escaping me. Anthology, yeah. The assisted living, they're also going to try to get for occupancy in December, as per our last meeting. So they're still working towards getting that. So those will be two good-sized projects that will be on the books and putting money into the town coffers when those go through.
Excellent.
Could we set a February date? We have January 10th. Does February 7th work for people? Our next meeting is January 10th. How is
Sure.
February 7th?
January 10th.
because my phone is old. No, that's fine.
I can do that.
That works?
It's good for me.
Okay.
Okay. All right, unless there is anything else, I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, great, well, thank you very much.
I need some signatures before you go anywhere.
Nicole, let me ask you a question.